makes any
Yeah, it always
difference.
tastes good going down, Aaron.
Yeah, that's true. It's funny as I told Andrew over here, I was like, "Oh man, I got it while they were fresh today," and then later that night, not so fresh.
Oh my God. Well, I'm glad you're better.
Thank you. Me too. I see we've got Linda on the show today. Welcome to the show, Linda.
Hi.
Are you using? Is that headphones or a headset? Does it have a mic on it?
I have a blue ball mic, whatever they're called, like this, snowball.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Blue ball.
Blue ball. Blue balls today.
I was wondering. I was like, I don't know. That's a brand.
Actually, it's green.
It's a green blue ball.
Well, that's not a good thing.
No.
All right. Bring it a little closer to you.
Sure. How's that?
Count back from 5 for me.
What?
Count back from 5.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's a little better. Are you able to get any closer?
Yeah, I can move it closer. How's that?
I'm not sure if it's picking up actually.
Hang on
Smack it with your palm.
Let me
see that it's-
try moving it.
Yeah, I think it's still picking up on your internal mic.
Because
I would be hearing you with
Hang
it.
on a second. Let me see if I can fix it here.
Yeah.
Linda's a pro over here. She's got her own podcast and everything.
Nice.
I know.
Got a professional on the show.
I do.
It says it's on my snowball.
In the Zoom settings?
Right here. I pulled it up over here by the mute button and it says microphone blue snowball.
Maybe you might have to register it in the computer itself. On the computer settings. Are you on a Mac or a PC?
Okay. Wait a second.
Oh, that sounds really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that's better.
What do you do?
All right, give me one more count back.
Plugged it in again and I moved closer to it.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I just had to unplug, plug back in. I think we're good now.
All right. I'll keep it close by.
Yeah, keep it close
I've never
by.
had my ball showing before.
I like it. Aaron, can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Oh, wow.
You know I'd let you know.
I know. So
I'm glad to know that you couldn't hear me before because I probably need to move this closer all the time.
Probably. Yesterday I did a recording and the sound, it was okay, but it wasn't like great. Let's see, do I want this light? So yeah, last week I had Paul Buscetta on and I was like,
I love that one.
How's the lighting? And he's like, oh, turn off that light. I'm like, okay, thanks.
Can you hear that in the background?
No, not hearing anything. Bring that snowball a little closer or lean a little bit in.
Okay. How's that?
There you go. Perfect.
All right. You sure you cannot hear that? Because they are buzzsawing on my deck.
No, can't hear it.
Okay, perfect. All right.
It must have a noise gate on it. We're not picking it up, so that's perfect.
That's awesome.
That's why I like those blue mics.
The blue
I almost called it a blue ball mic too. See what you did? All right, Jody, you ready to rock and roll?
Ready to rock and roll.
Awesome. I love your energy. Let's have a great show.
Thank you.
And is being brought to you on the Voice America Empowerment Channel. For more information about our network and to check out additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
The bio,
The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live internet talk radio. Visit VoiceAmerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the following program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.
Are you ready to live your best life, be stronger, and fall in love with yourself? It's possible, and it's inside you, but you need to unlock the power within. Welcome to Fearlessly Authentic with Jody Harrison Bauer. Jody used to be afraid to take risks. It took some stepping out of her comfort zone to get her there. Along with her guests and their stories, Jody will help you to live your best life ever. Now, here's your host, Jody Harrison Bauer.
Good afternoon and happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to Fearlessly Authentic. I am your host, Jody Harrison Bauer, and I am so happy to have you join us today. And if you are returning, which I hope you are, thank you so much. And thank you to everyone around the world who has been listening to this podcast. I hope that With me and my guests, we are changing your life because we are here to educate, empower, and inspire you. So everybody's story is different. Everybody has a fear that they need to overcome or are in the process of overcoming. But we are going to help you get there with education and empowerment and inspiration so you can go and help other people. Because I think that's really what it's about now more than ever, to take that power that we have from within and share it with other people. So when you hear this podcast and radio show, please share it with your friends. Please subscribe and comment. I would love to hear from you, love to hear your questions. And thank you so much again for joining us today. Today, my guest is a very fearless woman. Her name is Linda Mitchell, and welcome, Linda, to the show.
Well, thank you. I'm very excited to be here with you, and I love what you're doing, Jody.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to give everybody a little bit of background on Linda and give you some information about her because she's going to teach us a lot today. Linda Mitchell is a leading women's health expert, award-winning fitness competitor, best-selling author, top 50 podcast host, fitness boutique owner, and creator of the Sisterhood of Sweat brand. As a survivor of domestic violence, once being physically beaten down, afraid for her life, Linda has made it her mission to empower other women by helping them take responsibility for their health so that they can be in the best shape physically and emotionally. A graduate of the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, sorry about that, Linda has worked with dozens of thought leaders such as Heidi Powell, JJ Virgin, Natalie Jill, Ann Louise Gettleman, and more. She has appeared on ABC, NBC, Bold TV, and Fox. Linda has written her own column, Fit Over 40, and has spoken on numerous stages, included Podfest and Women's Future Conference. Whoa. Linda, you have packed a lot into your life so far.
Well, once I decided that I was worthy of having more and didn't need anyone's permission other than the Almighty, I do pray. I began taking charge of my life and living full out.
So when I want to talk about what you went through as a child and the abuse and how you got the strength to find yourself. So let's start with that a little bit because I think it's important for the listeners to understand where you've come from and how strong you've become and have fought through a lot of tough times. You know, life isn't always easy. And for a lot of people out there, I don't want anyone to think that this is like a sparkly road that we all travel upon and we just find ourselves here, because it isn't that way. Usually there's something from within that makes us fighters, or we don't fight, but you are a fighter. So what happened when you were growing up, if you can help us learn?
Well, I mean, I grew up in, whoa, here we go. I'm used to having my mic this close. I have to get used to it. I'm a hand talker. I grew up in the Midwest and, from all appearances in suburbia and a middle-class family, my brother and I, perfect family. From the outside, everything looked perfect. And I mean, we had a good life, but my mom had an illness, which is called manic depression. And they didn't really label that as bipolar, but she was very depressed. She really suffered from it very severely. Back in the day, they would give you shock treatments to forget why you're depressed, which is pseudoscience. It isn't the way to cure depression. And really, I grew up as a little girl, I think, being confused and not really understanding what was going on. But early on, I did find fitness, and that really helped to empower me because I knew I didn't want the same fate. I didn't want to be sad and depressed. And so I realized early on that fitness was a game changer and a mood lifter, and it made me strong so that I could endure what I had to go through. My mom was ill, so she wasn't really able to be present in the way a mother would normally want to be. And so I didn't have anybody coming to my games and things like that, maybe twice. So I didn't feel understood and supported, but I can look back at that and understand what was going on. But unfortunately, she left me with a close family member, and she wasn't, she was ill and not paying attention, and I was molested at the age of 8. And that left a really deep scar that I glazed over for 55 years. And I learned at an early age to keep secrets and to have everything perfect on the outside while things were falling apart on the inside. And really, they glazed over it because I told my parents about it. I sat with my molester at the holiday table every holiday. And these are things that you realize when you're older, you can look back and see, no wonder I didn't understand how to set proper boundaries. No wonder I didn't recognize what I was worthy of. No wonder I didn't realize this was dysfunctional.
Wow. That's some pretty heavy stuff that you went through. And thank you for sharing that. And thank you for being so brave to share that with us. So, this happened when you were a young girl. You hold this together. We all have like family secrets that we keep inside of us. And then at some point or another, they come out because we can't hold it together anymore, or we don't want to hold it, or there's somebody that comes into our life and we want to share this with because we're finally okay with understanding maybe what's going on. So when was the moment when you got married, you had children? Did your husband, who you had your children with, know this story about you, or did you keep
No,
that a secret as
I
well?
never did tell that story. I went out of the frying pan into the fire, and he was also manic depressive and abusive physically. And so it was a very hard time. And I think growing up, my mom didn't, she didn't go to college. My dad didn't want her to. She didn't go work. My dad didn't want her to. She didn't, he was very conservative. She didn't wear shorts because he didn't want her to. She didn't wear a bathing suit because he didn't. He's a great man, but let me just say that I feel like my mom, no, I'd be depressed too because she
Right.
wasn't able to follow her own interests. And I think it's really important for us to realize as women that we deserve to have a voice, and we deserve to have dreams, and we deserve to have things of our own that light us up inside, no matter who you're married to, no matter who you work for, no matter who your parents are.
I think that we're about the same age, give or take 2 years. So I think we were brought up very similarly. I was brought up on the East Coast, not in the Midwest, but I had a similar, not the molestation or anything like that, but where I had one parent that was more controlling. It happened to be my mom. And then I ended up marrying a controlling person. Now it takes two to tango. So I've come to understand that it's not just him or that
Right.
other person. Okay. So your mom could have spoken up. I could have spoken up, but I can't speak for your mom, but I can only speak for myself, that, you keep it together as long as you can. And then you realize I've got to just burst out of this box that's keeping me in there, because similarly to what your dad said to your mom, I wasn't allowed to work. I wasn't allowed to wear sexy clothes. I wasn't
Oh
allowed
my
to wear,
gosh.
oh yeah, that was me. And we're talking about like in the 1990s.
Right. I got
So
you.
I got divorced in 2002. So, and I remember thinking that, there's more to me that needs to come out. I'm, only 40 years old, and but I think our parents' generation didn't feel there was a way out. Do you agree?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also she may have had some religious beliefs that were you know, that was something I had to work through that were confusing to me. You know, and also just the commitment level of what she thought she was supposed to be.
Right, because she was probably brought up in a way that, you know, you get married, you stay married, and you it's for better or worse. And
Right.
our generation was, screw the worst. We're the hell out of here. Just don't even screw with me. I'm out of here. And it's for the betterment of the kids, even though maybe some family friends don't agree at the decision at the time. But when you feel that mentally and or physically you are at risk and you can't be the mom that you want to be, which was my situation, that I said, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. There's something better for me. And I wasn't physically abused, but it was things that I wanted to accomplish, and I wasn't going to stay there. And I think you did the same thing with your first marriage, right?
I didn't even realize, because it's not a daily thing.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever heard of Hedda Nussbaum, but she is a famous abuse case where she was beaten to be unrecognizable. And they call it the numbing of Hedda Nussbaum. And really, that is kind of, if I could say in a word, I was groomed when I was a child. I was groomed to be, you know,
Abused.
molested. I was equally groomed to be abused. They don't just do it right off, or you would never marry them. You'd never go on that second date. It's hidden. It's when you're in it. You have 2 children, you know, you're there, and
You're trapped. They've already
you can't
pulled
just,
you in. You're in there
yes,
deep, real deep.
absolutely. That's when that comes out, and it's a numbing process. It doesn't start as the worst abuse, but it gets worse and worse. And if somebody hits you once, that's one time too many.
Agree.
Abusers, only 4% of them change. And I didn't even realize that I was being abused until my life was almost snuffed out. It was literally late at night. We were going to bed. We were talking about babysitting the next day, and I needed to work, mind you, because we lived on a military base and we didn't make a lot of money, and we have 2 children. So I told him I was going to work, and he just decided he wanted to shop. It was 10:30 at night. I had need to be at work in the morning. I'm like, well, you'll need to find the babysitter because I'm going to be at work.
Right.
He snapped because it reminded him of his childhood. They called it transference. So then I became the person he hated. And he started strangling me and smothering me. This is when you're supposed to be peaceful. You're going to bed to sleep.
Right.
Under pillows, and I could literally not move. I mean, I thought I was going to die, and he wasn't going to recognize that he was killing me. And I didn't even know if I was going to get my last breath out to call on the name of the Lord. And I just tell it like it happened. I called on the name of Jesus, and in a second, he snapped out of it, and he woke up to what he was doing. And I rolled out as soon as I got that opening, and I ran downstairs and I locked myself in the bathroom. And I remember I was looking at my hands and they were shaking, and looking at myself in the mirror, and I didn't recognize what I saw. I was like, who is this person? This is not me. And I just remember I was too afraid to go tell a neighbor. I didn't know what he might do, but I did go to work that day. And I just remember the whole day knowing I was going to need to tell somebody. I was scared to tell. I was afraid. He was 6'4", 220, and angry with him is not a good thing. But I did have a sister-in-law. She so happened to live down the street from me. I went down there. Of course, I had strangle marks on my neck. It's kind of hard to deny. And she was like, took me to the emergency room, and they said, what is this a case of? And she said, it's a case of spousal abuse. And it's the first time that I realized it, that is just how this can happen. I mean, I feel like now looking back, you feel sort of like,
How didn't I recognize this?
yes,
It was so clear. But when you're just
yes,
like when you were a child, when you're in it, you don't realize it. You have no way of having any type of insight. There's no perspective when you're in the middle of it. until you heard you say those words, or you heard your sister-in-law say those words, and you thought, oh my God, this is a real thing right
This
now.
is real. This is
Yeah.
real. But I know, like, before this happened, I'll call it my angel. I just had this voice that kept saying, you better get out while there's still time.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard it. And it was the same. You need to tell someone. You need to tell someone. And whether it's the voice within or the angel that was sitting on my shoulder, it's a voice I came to recognize and listen to many times.
That's, again, thank you for sharing that with me, because I think that's like when you really hit your rock bottom. You said you stayed for a couple more years in the marriage, and then you realized it's time for me to leave. Where did you get that strength?
I think it's basically started turning towards my children, and I had done everything to make it work, counseling, I mean, just you name it, I did it. And I just prayed and prayed, and I just one day I said, God, I can't take this anymore, and I swear I heard an audible voice say, you're right. You can't.
Wow.
Get out.
That's powerful. That's really powerful. And that's the powerful of praying, of meditation, whatever it is that you choose to do. I think that's why it's so important to understand your thoughts and your stillness, and to really respect that stillness in you.
Yeah.
So you hear that voice. Understand and respect the stillness and the silence, because you won't hear the words through the noise, right?
Right. You won't.
Yeah, and it's only until we have those moments where we are praying or we are meditating, or whatever method you take, to take that time for yourself. And I encourage everybody who doesn't do it to try to do it. I know it's hard for me to do it, but we won't hear those answers if we're just constantly on that gerbil wheel of going, 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 and we never stop to go, wait, what's wrong with this picture? So you got out, and you said fitness was really something that you always gave you strength. So were you involved in fitness at the time when you left your husband, your ex-husband? I know that you're happily married now for like 26, 27 years to somebody wonderful, right?
Yes. Uh, yes, it was. I was working at the YWCA, and they happened to have a battered women's shelter. And I had never worked full time. I was a mom, and I wanted to, I worked part time, and I really wanted to be there for my children, which was a lot of the reason I think I stayed so long, because I didn't want to be gone all the time and be the only, person they're turning to. I was just, they wouldn't have been turning to my husband, and then I'd be at work all the time. So I wanted to be there for them as a mom.
I'm gonna interrupt you here for a second, because we talk about the children. We're both the mother of two. You have a son and a daughter in their 30s, and I've got my two girls, and they're both young adults. And I think so many women do stay for the children. And I
Yeah.
think what woke me up was saying, I don't want my children to see that this is
Yes.
normal. Did you ever have that feeling?
Oh, yeah. So when you said that, I was staying for the children. I was staying for the marriage. I was staying because I was committed. But there came a time when I recognized this isn't for the children, because he's turning it to them. The very week that I realized the abuse is turning to them, this is not for them. This is not going to be, anymore. Can I say this is for the children? This is the time.
I had a moment like that too.
This is the time to rise up, to be responsible, to put my, pull myself up by the bootstraps, and we are worthy of more. We are worthy. I am jumping out of the sinking ship with the three valuable, me and my children.
Right.
And I just realized that story had changed, that wasn't for them. I didn't want them growing up thinking that is okay, and that they should ever put up with abuse from anyone.
Right. And you have a son and a daughter. So for the daughter, I think daughters really look to their dads, to the type of man they might marry. And for a boy, it's to the mom. And having myself two daughters, it was really important that, you want to show them what a healthy relationship is. And
Right.
so for a lot of reasons, you got out of it. So you're at the YMCA working full time in this shelter, and this is when you come across fitness, you find fitness. What happens?
So I'm working, they give me a job, they like miraculously make me the fitness director, uh, which I didn't have a college education at the time. I've since went to school, but
Congratulations.
thanks. They, gave me benefits, holiday pay. They took care of me. I had a button I could press when he came charging down and the cops were there in 30 seconds. Anytime he came to harass. So it was the perfect place. And I just remember I was working with the battered women and I was teaching them fitness. And they were all sitting in a circle one day talking. It was like therapy, kind of like how you would go to a group therapy. And they were talking about their stories. And the thing that stood out to me was that many of them had been out of it for a while, but they were still living in their story. I was like, I am done with that story. I do not want to live in my
Wash my
story.
hands. I'm out of here, right?
I am done. I am
Yeah,
not going to dwell on this, and this is not going to define me, and it is not going to define my
I
children.
love that.
We are going to rise above this, and we're going to make the best out of our lives. And in that moment, I remember thinking, I don't want to live in my story, but someday when I'm past this, I want to help others not to live in their story either. I want to help them change their stories that they're telling themselves about why they have to stay in some terrible situation that nobody should ever have to deal with or put up with. And when you clearly see the story for what it is, you'll be free. You're free. I mean, and so I then went to work, never told anyone, did not talk about it. I didn't want anybody to feel sorry for me. I would put my nose to the grindstone and I was grateful every day for peace of mind, and having my life and having my dreams, that I could actually not have somebody pull the rug out from under me and I could go for it. I could literally I was so happy once I left. I wondered why I waited so long.
I think we all do that. I think we all wait a really long time until we feel like the right time is right. And you know what? There's never a right time for anything. There's never a right time to get a divorce. There's never a right time for anyone to pass away. These are just tough, tough times. And we have to, I love that what you said is that you didn't want to keep telling this story. You didn't want this story to define you. You wanted to go out and create new, beautiful, joyful stories of no fear, being courageous, living with integrity, and helping other women do the same thing. So is that when this Sisterhood of Sweat was kind of, I mean, it was probably way before that, right?
So this is so way before that.
Yeah.
I worked at gyms. I sold for I never had been a salesman, but like to get the job that I wanted, which was just coordinating aerobics and helping people, this guy wanted me to sell memberships too. So I was like, well, all right, then if I have to sell to do this job that I want, I guess that I'll do that. But then that benefited me. I learned so much at that position about running a gym, about selling, whatever you need to sell, that sales is an important part of the process for any entrepreneur. And that you are benefiting people when you sell them a health club membership or you sell them personal training. And so down this journey, I had many jobs along the way that have prepared me for where I am today with opening my gym, my dream gym, which was Chick Fit at first. And so I've been in the Sisterhood of Sweat, so to speak, for the last 7 years.
I love that. I love that. And when you were working at the gym, is that when you started working out and getting physically strong?
Yes, it's just so empowered me and gave me confidence. It every time I did like a physical feat, I could relate it to something that I broke through in my business or my life. Like even just doing Spartan races, climbing a rope to the top gives you belief that you did that. What I tried an attempt, climbing this rope over water, and all these men were just falling off like flies. And it was like my third race. And I was just like, well, I'm going to give it one more try. And I just jumped up on this rope and I made it to the top and rung the cowbell. That, doing scary things in your life, not scary like being beaten up, but scary like challenging, that I could handle. And that is a game changer. When you do something physical, I really believe it helps you have breakthroughs in your life, because I was like, well, I did that, so I can do this.
I completely agree. And I don't think people know how strong they are mentally until they put themselves physically through some kind of physical challenge, be it, a workout or a Spartan challenge or a Spartan race or anything, the Tough Mudders, whatever it is that you want to do, that gives you that mental tenacity, the mental strength, the mental focus. And that could take you to the next level. It's breaking through the barriers that take you to the next level, to that genius level. So when we come back, we're going to take a break. So stick with us, everybody. We'll be back with Linda Mitchell and talking about mental, physical strength and empowering you to be the best version of you. We'll be right back.
All clear.
Thank you. Great. Thank you for sharing that. That was just amazing. Thank you. You speak so well. So when we come back, we'll talk about, I wanted to talk about, when you opened your gym, and, and then I want to talk about the fitness competitions, all of these things that made you so strong, and then finish it up with how you empower women. Or we can start with that when I come back with how you empower women. But I think we need to go through what you've done to become strong, to feel that you can empower other women. Because I don't feel like, for me personally, I don't think that I could have coached anybody until I went through it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to mention so I could add that in there?
About empowering other women?
Yeah, I mean, I have some other questions like why did you compete? Tell me about your workouts, but I want to make the point that you went through this process and then became stronger, and then you were able to coach other women to become strong, to find their place. But then I also want to ask you, what do you eat? And, how have your workouts changed since you were like in your 40s to like 58? Because they have
oh
changed,
my gosh,
right?
So much to talk about. I guess I wanted to tell about when I was writing my book, how they wanted to put me this down in a box over to the side and hide me, like something to be ashamed of, that I shouldn't show my abs.
How long ago was that? Did you write that book?
This is like, I think it's let me see.
Okay.
I think it's 2015, so 5 years.
Okay, so 5 years ago. Okay, so I want to talk about
Still an evolution. But I felt like they put me in a box, and then that's when I said my,
20 seconds.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry.
That's okay. All right, so we'll start with, we'll spend like just a few minutes on, where you got your strength and
10 seconds.
Okay, thanks. I don't know. We'll try to hit all these points.
All right, here we go. We're coming back.
Thank you.
You are listening to Fearlessly Authentic with Jody Harrison Bauer. We'd love to hear from you with any questions or comments you may have. Send an email to info@jodyharrisonbauer.com. That's info@jodyharrisonbauer.com. Now, back to Fearlessly Authentic.
Welcome back, everybody. We have so much to talk about. I want to just jump right back into it. During the break, we were talking about some questions we were going to talk about. I know I'm talking really fast now because I want to get all this out. My last question about what you were speaking so honestly about was, what advice would you give women who are listening who are in an abusive relationship?
2 words: get out. It's not worth your time. It's not worth your trouble. When you have energy, it's being drained and depleted. Wouldn't you much rather spend that energy on your dreams instead of crying in your bed at night?
And we'll leave your information at the end of the show about how they can get in touch with you if they want to reach out to you. Are you okay with that?
Sure.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you very much. So you go through this transformation, you're getting stronger, you're doing these races, and you also started competing in fitness shows. So take me through what went through your head. How old were you when you started doing this? And what, we both we're fitness competitors. I know what went through my mind and why I want to do, but I'd like to know what went through your head. What was your why in going through that?
Well, I was around 40 years old, and I just think it was like when I was growing up, my dad didn't want me to cheerlead. He didn't want me to do any of the things, like you were telling me how your husband didn't want you to wear anything sexy.
Right.
And I just felt like I really wanted to go after my dreams and the things that were in my heart that I wanted to do. And I really found it built my confidence, and it was very empowering. And I recognized when my dad passed away that life was halfway over. And if I wanted to do something, I didn't want to make the excuse that somebody said I couldn't or shouldn't do that thing. I wanted to live my life full out, because I knew that this is my life, that I'm responsible for my life. And I want to fill it with things that light me up inside, and I'm worthy and deserving of that. And so once I started competing, it really, over the years, empowered me and made me strong. And I recognized a lot of women don't stand fully into the things that they want to do. And I really wanted to help women once I got through all of this, raised my children, to be empowered and recognize that they deserve to have a voice in everything they do, and to live their dreams is not being selfish. You could have the alternative of what I grew up with, where my mom was depressed and slept a lot. Wouldn't you rather, be fully charged and alive and empowered and living in an environment that you created? And how you do that is you decide what you will allow in your life and what you won't allow, what your deal breakers are, what your non-negotiables are. That is like the first thing
And
to the road of
and
empowerment.
I agree with you. And I think we talked about setting boundaries earlier, or maybe it was the other day, but about boundaries, being a pleaser, feeling empowered. And we're very similar in that way. And I think that when you're talking about doing things that feel right to you, feel maybe authentic to you, feel real, feel truthful, and living without regret. After I got divorced, I had a huge bucket list of things that I wanted to do, because I said, damn it, nothing's going to stop me now. And I don't care if and I did lose friends because I competed, because they didn't understand me. But living in your truth and then paving your own way is so empowering. And, it's not about, I think a lot of women who might be listening right now who don't understand the fitness competitions, it's not about getting in a bikini and doing all that stuff. It's about how strong can I be? How mentally strong can I be? And then you get to own it, right? And I think owning it, because
Yes.
so much of maybe what you went through, you couldn't own it. And now it was time to own it and feel empowered by what you're creating for yourself.
Oh my gosh. So
Yes.
owning it.
So
Okay.
show me the book.
Okay, so this is the story. I really hadn't talked about the abuse really much. I hadn't talked about what happened with my grandfather. I hadn't talked about all of it. And this basically was a discussion with my business coach. And
Mhm.
she's also like a life coach. And I'm talking to her about, they wanted to put me down in a box on the cover.
So
And she
wait,
said,
for people who can't see this,
oh,
because right now they're listening, describe the picture on the cover.
so I'm in a sports bra and I worked hard for these abs that I'm sporting.
You look hot,
And I
girlfriend.
have a very empowering pose
Yes, you
with my
do.
hand behind my head. And it's a strong pose.
Hmm.
And the person that was helping with my book wanted to dumb it down, and I wasn't having it. And I listened to everything almost, and I was like, no. And then, well, my coach said, well, why, maybe I think you shouldn't show your abs either. Why don't you think you should be down there? I said, because I don't want anybody putting me in a box. I was put in a box my whole life. I said,
You're out of that box. Out of that
yes,
box. Jump
get
out
out
of
of
it.
yes.
Yep, I know.
I was growing up and my father, I felt like he made me ashamed of my sexuality. And I see he was trying to protect me, but it was like, I felt like he made me ashamed of my sexuality. And then I have my grandfather wanting to, molesting the body. Then I have the new husband or the ex-husband beating the body. The new husband wanted to control the body. I am like, this is my body. I will not be put in a box, and I am not ashamed of it. And that was like when I really, I think, stepped into my power and just started owning my life and
And
my
this was like 5 years ago, right?
yes, like it was huge
So did
moment.
the light bulb just went off, right? It just
It
said
just
no more. Like this is it. This is really, really it. But it took you until you were 55 years old. And not that that's old, but that point of that light, that enlightenment, it takes us a while to see it. We're constantly evolving, but to have that feeling, that must have been amazing to you.
well, and my kids were getting raised. I think I put them first, and I wanted their lives to be fully, I wanted them to be launched in college and all of the things. And I think that I've had many light bulb moments along the way that led me to that journey in that moment. And also, I will say that what really helped me to start to heal was somebody else coming forward about their journey. And that is a very famous person named Lewis Howes. And I was listening to him, and it really freed me, because anytime you have a secret, it can hold shame over you. But when you release that secret, it can't hold any more shame over you anymore. And I realized how many people I protected, that I didn't tell my story because I was protecting people and maybe protecting myself, because it's a
Right.
deep wound.
Right. So when you revealed the story, your grandfather was gone, your
Yeah.
father
And
was
my
gone.
dad, I was really kind
Did
of,
you
I
want
didn't
to
want to
wait?
dishonor my father.
Okay. So it was like a moment. It was a good time. The timing was there.
Yeah.
And how did your mom feel about it? Did she ever read the book, or did you tell her about it?
She has read my book. She's very proud of me.
Hmm.
I really, it's a difficult discussion, and
Hmm.
she's 83. I don't
Okay.
really get into that with them, because I'm like, I can forgive them. It's water under the bridge. Um, I just want to go on and help other women, and just keep on healing from it myself. In my family, they all think they don't know. Um, Many of them think he was the most awesome person, and I never did burst that bubble, because I'm just like, now talking about it, I
Right.
never told people. My aunt didn't want to believe it when it happened, so I didn't tell anybody else.
So tell me how you empower women, the women that come to you either online or at your studio. Tell me what your coaching style is when you have, let's just call her a broken woman, a woman who needs help navigating through life. Maybe she starts to come to you because she wants to lose weight or gain weight or just change the way she feels in her body. What's your coaching style?
I pour belief into them every single session, that they are worthy of having the life of their dreams, and that it's okay to go after that. It isn't selfish to have needs. It isn't selfish to have something that lights you up inside. And it makes you a better wife. It makes you a better mother. It makes you a better friend when you're being authentic, raw, and you're being real. Why I really, for the longest time, lived this life that I thought everybody else wanted me to live, that I should live. I was punished as a young girl for being myself. And again, I believe in marriage. And so I think just fully owning that it's okay to be yourself, it's okay to have needs. And when they are coming to me, I usually take a while getting to know what makes them tick, what their motivations are, what they're going through. And then every single session, besides the working out, which makes them stronger, besides the nutrition, which also makes them healthier and feel better, I'm pouring in motivation and also just being there as a sounding board so they can talk to somebody that's been there, done that, and just letting them find their own truth, really, because we all know within what our truth is. It's just having the courage to stand in it.
I agree with you. Standing in your truth and having the courage to go forward and jumping out of that box. Where the boxes are not meant to lock us in. They're meant for us to jump on and to kick out of the way. Like, get out of here. Like, forget it, box. No more lock. I'm not going to do it. Do you ever feel that when you're training somebody or coaching somebody that you are learning every time you talk maybe about an experience just to help them along, that you're learning from them as well?
Oh, for sure, for sure. You're learning. And I think as a coach, asking people the right questions is one of the biggest ways to empower them, because we all really need to find our truth for ourselves. And I could stand there and tell someone what to do, but them telling themselves what they need to do is more powerful.
And it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And I was just talking, or I read something about um, that, don't ask me when am I going to be fit enough? When am I going to feel good in my body? When am I going to look like this picture I brought to you? Everybody has a different time span for when they get there. Some people sprint, some people jog, some people walk, but it's your own journey. Just like you've had your journey, I've had my journey. We're going to continue our journeys, because I get the feeling that you are never going to stop growing, evolving. I mean, that's who you are. You're so strong. And that strength that you use to empower other women to get there, this is your story. And I think that when we share these stories of of our past, that definitely helps women understand, because a lot of people might look at you and say, oh, she's got her act together. Oh, no, I don't. Let me tell you about my story, right? And I think that if that gives them the
Oh,
encouragement, right?
right. They would never have known, I mean, what I'd been through. I mean, and that just tells you how many people out there have been through things. You're not alone. I think the biggest thing is recognizing what you won't tolerate.
Right.
Toleration. What are you tolerating? What should you not be tolerating? Because you deserve to have the life you want, and nobody should be standing in the way of that.
So many women hear those words. I've uttered those words. I've said those words to myself. And it really takes practice. It's like yoga. It's like anything else. It takes practice. You've got to practice meditation, praying, and saying that could be your mantra. I am good enough. I deserve. I am worthy. Those shouldn't just be simple words that fall off your tongue. They should really have true meaning. So how do you stay strong? You've been working out for a long time. So tell me a little bit about how you used to work out and maybe how you work out now. What's changed? What did you used to do? Are you doing the
Well,
same things?
the title could tell you a little. We used to be Chick Fit, little chickies. Now we're Sisterhood of Sweat.
I love it.
So I'm just saying, like, it was more like aerobics and, Pilates. And now we're pushing sleds, we're lifting weight, we're sprinting, we're crawling across the turf, doing push plates and kettlebells and, a wide variety of things.
Where do you get the energy to do this every day, get up every day and say, I'm going to keep pushing myself, whether it's your own physical or mental strength, and to help other women?
I don't limit myself because I think age is just a number
Yay.
on the calendar. And I know that sounds cliche, but it is the truth. It's about the life in your years, not the years of your life. And I just really set goals, and I don't put limits on what I can achieve. I don't think about it as an age. I think about it as a journey and a purpose.
That's a really nice way to look at it, because we don't have an expiration date stamped on our back at all. Sometimes I wonder, will I ever, I always had this fantasy that I could just sit down one day, put my feet up and watch TV all day. And it just isn't me. Do you ever think about, like, maybe I just should just take it easy and put my feet up, right? I know.
That.
Did you?
I did try it. I really did. And you know what? It really made me recognize, because I'm getting ready to step into more space in my gym. And I was kind of like, well, I could just retire. I don't really need the money. Like, why, what is the why about taking more space?
So what is it? Tell me.
The why, it's huge. It's the SOS cry that women have. And I just feel that it's my journey and my mission. I'm being called to serve women in a greater way, and that God hears their SOS. And that is powerful, because one day I really was in the gym praying, and that was a song that came on, and I knew it, I could see it, I could visualize that was my mission. And the crazy part is my book and my brand are called the Sisterhood of Sweat, and that stands for SOS.
SOS. Yeah. Did you ever realize that when you came up with the name?
I did not realize it till I was literally in the gym one day praying about whether I should take the other side over, and bumped into my stereo, and that song SOS by Lauren Daigle came on, and it was just too uncanny and too much of a coincidence.
It hit you over the head and just basically said, okay, I gotta, this, this is yes, I'm going to keep going. So
right.
Besides the addition to your gym, what else for the new year, for 2021? I know 2020, how did you deal with COVID, and was your gym closed down during quarantine? I'm sure it was, right?
Right. It was the biggest time for me to be able to empower women and to connect with them. And we all were on Zoom, and they could all talk to me and talk to everybody else at the same time. You'd see all these little Zoom windows, and everybody was so grateful and thankful that they said that was the highlight of their week, getting together. And they just thanked me over and over, and it kept our community strong. And I would just like to also just circle back to what you said a second ago about, why we shouldn't just lay down and eat bonbons now that we're 58 or 60 or whatever age you are. And I think it's this. I did a little bit of that, and it was so boring. It was so depressing. And I thought, I could just not go for this big, scary dream because it's so big. Or I could sit here and be bored. What do I want to do? I think I'm going to go all in till it's over, girls.
I love your attitude. And I actually had a moment where I was talking to my husband last night, and I was telling him that I was interviewing you today. And I'm like, I wonder what it would be like to just not do anything. Just say, not do anything and just be like, I don't know, a normal person. I don't know what a normal person is, but just not be that person that's constantly going for more, going for more, going for more. And I think I always feel my own hand pushing me behind and go, you've got one more thing to do, Jody, one more thing. And I don't always know what it is, but I'm always ready for the adventure because, like you, I want to share my story. I want to help women who are in need. And I want to talk about things that women don't necessarily want to talk or need that safe space to speak, right? So we create that safe space for them. So
Right.
they,
Absolutely.
that's so important.
Absolutely. A place to be seen, heard, feel safe and supported. That is huge. And that's what I've tried to create with the Sisterhood of Sweat. And I think you're doing that with your brand too, Jody.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's, when you were talking about the Zoom calls right after we went into quarantine and my studio, we pivoted right to Zoom classes and the women loved it. And I almost wondered like what it would be like once I opened the studio again. But that sense of community, that feel for one another, seeing each other, knowing that the other person feels okay was really important to the ladies. I know we've talked about so many things. I have to have you back on the show because we have so much more to talk about, like your workouts and your food and things like that. But you are incredibly fearless. You are strong. You are fearless. What does fearlessly authentic mean to you?
That means you feel the fear, but you move through that fear. I remember being at the Grand Canyon, being afraid to get on the skywalk. And I pushed myself because I knew it would take me to new heights. And I, at the end, was able to put my face down to the glass and look to the bottom because I knew I wanted to go big places in life. And to go big places in life, you may feel the fear, but you've got to move that through that fear to be able to come out victorious at the top of your life on that mountain.
Feeling the fear. Very well put. Feeling the fear. Yeah, it's almost like walking through that fire, or because the fire is fearful, scary. So I really understand what you mean by feeling the fear, and I think you do that every day. And it sounds like you encourage the women that you work with to do the same. So
yeah, because once you face those giants of fear, and you recognize what they are, oh my gosh, you're like, oh, I used to be afraid to be a public speaker. In fact, I was scared to death of it. That's me. I used to be
me too.
afraid to podcast. Oh my gosh, who am I to do that?
Right.
And to instruct, and to, oh my gosh, I'm going to run a gym. What? I'm on the same street running a gym where I used to work 60 hours a week for somebody else.
And look at you. I am so proud of you and I'm so happy for you. And for everybody listening, how can they reach you? Give me all the ways that somebody could reach out to you.
Okay, well, you can get me on any social media at Sisterhood of Sweat and reach out on my website, sisterhoodofsweat.com.
Thank you, Linda Mitchell. Thank you for being so fearless and sharing your story with us. I know you probably have helped so many people today, men and women. So thank you so much, and I hope we can talk soon. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, and bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap. Great show.
Thank you. Thanks.
Can you
Linda,
hear
thank
the
you.
music?
You're welcome.
What's up?
Can you hear the music right now?
I can't.
Oh, okay. You started grooving, and I was like, wait, can she
No,
hear?
no, no.
She
That's just
shouldn't
me
be able to.
being excited that it was a great show. That's just me.
I dig it. I do the same thing.
It's
So I
music
just
in
wanted
my
to make
head.
Sure.
I heard the music at the beginning.
Yes, me too. Thanks,
Oh, yeah, that's what
Aaron.
gets us grooving and going.
It does.
All right, Jody, have a great week.
Thank you
and,
so
have a happy
much.
Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, you too. That's right.
Happy
We have a
Thanksgiving.
show. Well, you know what's going on next week, right? It's Thanksgiving next week.
Replay, yeah.
Yeah, I have a show set up already, I think.
Yep.
Wow, next week is Thanksgiving?
Well, did you send it in, or do you?
I
still have to
did.
send
It's
it in?
Dying
Okay.
for Sex.
Okay, yeah, then we're all set.
It should be on there. Okay, Aaron, take it easy. Thank you so
too.
much.
My pleasure. Take care.